Hey, back to our Let's Talk Soccer challenge. Thank you first off to all the guys that have submitted stuff so far. Everything's been really cool. Um, like most of you guys have said, it's a really fun, interactive way to get people talking about some subjects that we all kind of type about, but nobody really talks about. And I think what I've noticed so far is that it's a lot harder to actually speak up about something than it is to kind of hide behind your screen and hide behind your keyboard and be able to kind of hit that backspace button a few times. So here it's kind of just out in the open to say what you got to say and see what happens. But yeah, a lot of you guys chose the first topic that I gave. Um, Talk about a problem in youth soccer here in America. A lot of really good stuff. And everything kind of all ties into each other. Um, but there was one thing that I'm kind of noticing now um, that it's a problem. I don't know how necessarily how we fix it, but it's something that we need to, I guess, address or bring attention to. But one of the things that I noticed a few weeks ago when Spain got annihilated um, by the Netherlands is that Del Bosque kind of changed his the way that he chose his lineup because before in 2008, 2010, 2012, the majority of his lineup came from two teams, and we can kind of guess who those two teams are, but Barcelona and Real Madrid. And then they had like little sprinkles of Valencia and Villarreal. Um, and that kind of made up that was the roster right there, like those four teams, but the majority of them came from two. And that was kind of that was when Barcelona, Real Madrid, well, they've always been at the top, but that was when they were at their absolute best as well. So it made sense that it transferred over into their national team. Um, and then if you look at the roster from when they lost against Netherlands, I think the starting lineup had 8 different clubs represented. So basically, what I'm saying is that there was no familiarity between the players on the roster, other than that they were all Spanish, but they all come from different clubs from different countries. They all have different philosophies, and when you mix, my feeling now is that when you mix too much into and you try to force everything into one team, it's not going to be cohesive. Um, and now what I'm kind of noticing has been happening with Germany. I mean, they've always taken their rosters from some of the top teams in the German league, but when you start a lineup, um, or when your starting lineup has 6 players from the same club, Bayern Munich, which is one of the top teams in the world, there's going to be a lot of familiarity. There's going to be a lot of cohesiveness, and when those players are your goal scorers and your the bulk of your attack. I think that you're in a good spot. So if you look at um, the way, well, I guess I'm kind of going off on a tangent now, but okay. So U.S. soccer, when you look at their roster, they're all over the map. They have teams from the United States, Germany, England, the the Dutch league. I mean, they're all over the world. Mexico. Um, and another thing about the U.S. roster is that they're not necessarily coming from top teams. They're coming from middle of the table, bottom of the table teams. If they are top of the table teams, they're from the United States, which isn't the premier league in the world. So that's another thing to start talking about too. But I guess with the whole roster familiarity thing, also goes down to the way the kids are being brought up in our United States youth system as well. So um, it all kind of trickles down back to a youth system problem. Um, but you bring in all these kids to national team camp, like when you bring in uh, Benny, who's the U14 kid, and you bring him in from Spain, but then you bring in some other kid who plays from New York Red Bulls, and you bring in another kid who plays for an academy in Texas, and then San Francisco and LA, and you combine all these different philosophies in these kids that are good on their club teams, yeah, but What are they ultimately going to do when they play together? Who knows? I mean, it's a big mixed bag now. And this kind of thought, this train of thought came from some of you guys that submitted stuff talking about ODP and how there's ODP scouts and you have to pay money to get looked at by the scouts, and then they choose you based on who can afford to go to the next round, and but then what went into my head is like, do the ODP scouts in Ohio have the same standards as the ODP scouts in Southern California? Are they looking for the same exact things? I don't know. So again, there's no familiarity. So when you take a kid who's ODP Region 4 and you combine him with a kid who's ODP Region 1 and ODP Region 3 and blah, 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 and you put all that together, what do you get? You get the USA, basically. So you don't have, there's not kind of one universal philosophy that's kind of being tossed around in the youth circle right now, youth coaching. I think and I think Ken hit on that in his video as well. So how do you monitor to make sure that ODP Region 4 is doing the same thing as ODP Region 1? I don't know how you police that. I honestly, I don't have a good solution to that. How do you monitor how the Development Academy is developing their players? I don't know. It seems like it's like a free-for-all here in the United States, and nobody's willing to work together anyways. Everybody wants to prove that they're the best, where in other nations like the Netherlands, for instance, or Spain, or Germany, it seems like everybody's more willing to work together to support one goal, which is to get your team to the finals in the World Cup and to get your club teams to the absolute highest level. But here in the United States, we're all kind of just gung-ho on doing it by ourselves and proving that we're the best individually, not collectively. So, yeah. Well, I went on a tangent, went for 8 minutes. I hope everybody kind of picked up what I was trying to say. Definitely a topic that needs to be talked about more in depth, a little bit more clear probably. But yeah, just kind of rambling. All right. So yeah, I'll tag a couple of you guys in this and see if we can get some more people talking. I'd like to see some more video submissions too, to see if we can really kind of grow this thing and get more people involved and get more people speaking about some good topics. All right. Adios.